The concept of the chosen ones is frequently referenced, yet its nature often resembles that of a myth or legend. However, an alternative perspective posits that these chosen individuals are not simply born with this designation, rather, they are forged through a series of challenges that often elude the majority. These tests are not physical, but rather spiritual, mental, and emotional in nature, and are considered the most arduous challenges one can confront. Only a select few endure these trials, and even fewer traverse the same path. However, those who do emerge from these challenges undergo a profound transformation. It is evident that life itself is a continuous series of tests, yet each individual's test is unique. There are various levels of difficulty, and the deeper one progresses, the more intense the challenges become. As the challenges intensify, the chosen few are those who, compelled by an inexorable inner drive, confront the most arduous of tests. This compulsion, far from being a matter of personal preference, is born of an unshakable inner calling that asserts the imperative to undergo these trials. The process is not for the faint of heart, nor is it one that lends itself to a facile or glamorous portrayal. These tests, far from being a walk in the park, will push one to the brink, compelling profound introspection and the interrogation of one's deepest held beliefs, including one's self-concept. Yet, by persevering through these trials, one is not merely passing a test, but undergoing a profound transformation. The first test begins when one is confronted with the truth of one's true self. We invest a substantial amount of time and energy in constructing an image of ourselves, a mask that it has been demonstrated that individuals often use their occupations, interpersonal relationships, and material possessions to define their identities. However, the initial trial eliminates all of these factors, compelling individuals to introspect and observe themselves in the absence of social constructs. This introspective act is often perceived as intimidating, as it resembles gazing into the abyss. The question that arises is, who are individuals when they are not defined by external societal influences? Who are they when all that they believed about themselves is removed? To gain a deeper understanding of this concept, it is recommended to subscribe to this channel, which offers more profound spiritual lessons. It is noteworthy that many individuals are unable to withstand this initial challenge. They retreat, returning to the safety of their illusions. However, a select few, those who are destined for something greater, they do not turn away. They stand there, staring into the mirror, into the abyss, and they ask themselves the most challenging question: who am I really? Have you ever posed this question to yourself? Not as a fleeting thought, but as a profound, unrelenting inquiry that persists until it is addressed. The second test is the test of isolation. We reside in a world where we are perpetually inundated with noise, social media, work, friends, and family. However, to pass this test, one must be willing to be alone not merely physically, but also mentally and emotionally. One must be willing to sit with oneself in the silence. To confront one's it is imperative to engage in introspection, acknowledging the presence of one's own thoughts, fears, and desires. In the absence of external distractions, a discernible shift in perception becomes evident. This auditory phenomenon, characterized as an inner voice, signifies the presence of one's true self, which has been obscured by the cacophony of external influences. The ability to perceive this voice is indicative of one's capacity to embrace introspection. However, the majority of individuals tend to evade silence, apprehensive about the potential revelations it might unveil. Conversely, those who have been selected to undergo this process have an innate understanding that silence serves as a portal to truth. It is noteworthy that the most arduous trials do not necessarily reside in the physical domain, but rather, they are often the psychological challenges that test the fortitude of one's spirit. The third and most formidable of these trials is the act of relinquishing one's attachments. The act of holding on to material and emotional possessions is a common human tendency, yet it is a practice that must be relinquished for the sake of personal growth and enlightenment. The act of moving forward in life necessitates the release of past grudges, expectations, and disappointments. These emotional burdens can hinder personal growth and progress. To successfully navigate this process, it is essential to relinquish one's attachment to specific outcomes, individuals, and material possessions. This does not imply a cessation of concern, rather, it signifies the ability to disengage from the need to hold on to these attachments. This entails the cultivation of a sense of faith, and trusting that which is destined to be received will manifest accordingly, while relinquishing that which is not intended to be part of one's life. The act of letting go is not an indication of personal weakness, rather, it signifies a profound strength. However, it is crucial to recognize that the process of letting go is not a sudden occurrence. Instead, it is a continuous endeavor necessitating consistent reminders to release and trust. It is important to note that this process is not a one-time event, rather, it is an ongoing journey. Just when one thinks they have mastered it, life presents challenges that evoke a desire to cling to the familiar. In these moments, introspection becomes essential. Am I willing to let go, even of this? How much am I willing to release in order to be free? If one has successfully completed the first 3 tests, they have already embarked on this journey. Transformation is an ongoing process, and the journey does not become easier after the first 3 tests. In fact, it becomes more arduous. The 4th test is particularly challenging, and it is known as the dark night of the soul. This test can be likened to a complete upheaval of one's previously held beliefs and values. It is as if the 4th test is known as the dark night of the soul, and it is often described as a test of one's spiritual fortitude. In this stage of the soul's evolution, individuals are confronted with the question of whether they can withstand the darkness before their light is extinguished. This period of profound inner turmoil can manifest in various ways, including the dissolution of relationships, the collapse of career paths, and a sense of purpose. It is as if the universe itself is testing an individual's resilience to adversity, questioning how much darkness can be endured before the light of hope is lost. The dark night of the soul engenders an existential crisis, prompting profound introspection and self-reflection. Individuals experiencing this crisis may encounter a sense of loss, including relationships, career opportunities, and a diminished sense of purpose. This crisis may lead to questions regarding the underlying causes and the ability to overcome the challenges. However, it is crucial to understand that this period is not a form of retribution but rather a process of purification and growth. This stage is a critical aspect of one's spiritual evolution, facilitating the development of resilience and the ability to navigate life's challenges. The concept of the dark night of the soul is not a form of retribution, rather, it is a process of purification and a critical aspect of spiritual evolution. During this period of introspection and self-examination, individuals are encouraged to look within themselves and shed the layers of ego and self-importance that do not serve their authentic purpose. It is during these moments of darkness that one can find their deepest light, but only if they can persevere. Many people succumb to despair in the face of adversity, giving up and losing themselves in the darkness. However, those who are chosen to undergo this process do not. The 5th test is that of faith, not in a religious sense. Darkness is not intended to destroy, rather, it is intended to strip away everything that is not truly you. It is in the darkest moments that one can find their deepest light, but only if they can endure. The majority of people, when faced with this test, fall into despair. They give up. They lose themselves in the darkness. However, the chosen ones do not lose hope. They do not give in to despair. They understand that the darkness is temporary and that it is merely a phase. They keep moving forward, even when they can no longer see the path ahead. They trust that there is light at the end of the tunnel, even if they cannot see it yet. But let me ask you this, how do you react when everything around you seems to crumble? In the face of adversity, it is essential to assess one's response. Do you succumb to panic? Do you desperately attempt to salvage your crumbling worldview, striving to maintain its integrity? Or do you relinquish control, entrusting the inevitable dissolution of your fragments to a higher power? The 5th test is the test of faith, not in a religious context, but in the broader sense of having unwavering conviction in oneself and the universe. Instead, it is a profound trust in oneself, in the universe, and in the inherent goodness of life itself. In moments of profound personal crisis, it becomes essential to maintain faith in the inherent value of existence, even when the path ahead seems unclear or the future appears uncertain. This faith, however, is not blind faith. It is a conviction in a greater purpose or plan that transcends our immediate vision. This is perhaps the most challenging aspect of the test, as it demands a faith that goes beyond what is immediately perceptible, and trusting in a higher power or a greater design that is not immediately apparent. During periods of profound personal adversity, one is compelled to place unwavering trust in the inherent goodness of the universe and the inherent purposefulness of life. This profound exercise of faith, often likened to a dark night of the soul, is a test of one's ability to trust that the seemingly unbearable suffering experienced is not, in fact, an indication of a cosmic conspiracy. It is a test of one's ability to trust that there is a greater plan at play, even when the evidence of this plan remains elusive. This is perhaps the most arduous aspect of the faith, as it necessitates placing trust in that which is not immediately perceptible, and in the unseen. It demands a belief that every occurrence, no matter how enigmatic, is unfolding for a higher purpose, even when the underlying reason remains shrouded in mystery. Faith, therefore, is not a state of blindness. It is not an act of ignoring the pain or feigning indifference to one's circumstances. Rather, it is an acknowledgement of the pain, a deep and complete immersion in it, and a subsequent emergence into a state of clarity and resilience. It entails acknowledging discomfort, experiencing it fully, and maintaining belief in a higher purpose behind it. It signifies trust in a universal force that is not antagonistic, but rather beneficial, even in periods of personal distress. During periods of profound personal turmoil, one's faith is subject to relentless testing and challenges. One is tempted to abandon their beliefs, yet it is during these times that fortitude and resilience are truly tested. To relinquish hope, to abandon your convictions, to perceive the darkness as your sole reality, however, the chosen few persevere, anchoring their faith even when all vestiges of hope seem to vanish. They persist in their forward movement, even when each stride feels like a deeper descent into the abyss. Consequently, I pose the following inquiry: how tenacious is your faith? To what extent can one maintain their faith when confronted with personal adversity? Can one place their trust in the unknown, even when confronted with insurmountable challenges? At what point does one's perseverance, fueled by the unseen and the unknown, lead to a moment of profound introspection and self-reflection? This marks the onset of the sixth test, the test of surrender. If one has successfully navigated this far, it is evident that considerable strength, resilience, and the capacity to endure profound pain and uncertainty have been demonstrated. However, this test does not emphasize strength. Instead, it focuses on relinquishing control and submitting to the unseen forces that govern life. The sixth test is the test of surrender. If one has made it this far, it is evident that one is strong, resilient, and capable of enduring tremendous pain and uncertainty. However, this test is not about strength. It is about relinquishing control. It is about surrendering to the flow of life, to forces that are far greater than one's individual will. This is, in many ways, the most challenging test of all. The human tendency is to seek control, to plan, organize, and strategize. We attempt to shape our lives, our futures, and our relationships according to our desires and expectations. However, life does not always unfold according to our plans. In fact, more often than not, life takes unexpected turns. The act of surrendering to life is akin to letting go of one's individual will, a concept that poses a significant challenge to many individuals. Humans have a strong tendency to seek control over their lives, formulating plans, organizing their activities, and devising strategies to shape their futures and relationships in accordance with their desires and expectations. However, life frequently defies these well-laid plans, leading to outcomes that are often unanticipated, including both pain and joy, and frequently characterized by a sense of mystery. Those who have achieved a state of surrender have come to understand that control is an illusion. They have come to recognize the existence of a greater intelligence, a force that surpasses the limited capabilities of the human mind. These individuals are willing to relinquish their need to control the outcome and allow themselves to be carried by the current of life. Surrender does not imply the cessation of effort or the abandonment of one's aspirations. It signifies the cessation of resistance and the acceptance of life's unfolding, even when it appears to defy our plans. To illustrate this concept, one can envision a river, in which one's efforts to control the direction of the flow by fighting against its current are futile. Instead, one must surrender to the natural flow of the river, allowing oneself to be carried along with the current, which, in this metaphor, represents the flow of life. Swimming upstream against the current in a river is a futile endeavor. It results in exhaustion and stagnation. However, surrendering to the river's flow allows one to be carried effortlessly to the desired destination. This concept is analogous to surrendering to life. In this test, the subject will be asked to let go of more than surrendering to life's plan, identity, ego, self-concept, desires, attachments, and dreams. This process of surrender is not immediate. It is a gradual process that necessitates trust in life's processes. Trust in the overarching plan that is unfolding, even if its details remain obscure. Consider the extent to which you allocate your time and energy to exert control over outcomes. How frequently do you act in opposition to the status quo, desiring alternative outcomes? What would be the consequences of relinquishing this tendency to control every outcome? What would be the consequences of letting go of your need to control every detail and instead placing your trust in a higher power, a greater plan, or a higher purpose? It is imperative to trust in the greater plan that is unfolding, even if its details are not yet apparent. Consider the amount of time you dedicate to attempting to control outcomes. How frequently do you resist the current state of affairs, wishing for change? What would occur if you ceased this resistance? What would happen if you relinquished your need to control every outcome and simply trusted that what occurs is intended to be? The test of surrender is not about weakness, it is about strength, the strength to let go. It is about courage, the courage to trust the unknown. Most people will never pass this test because surrender feels like loss. It feels like giving up. However, the chosen ones understand that surrender is not the end, it is the beginning. It is the moment. The occurrence in question is precisely what was intended to transpire. The examination of surrender is not a measure of personal weakness, rather, it is an assessment of one's fortitude, the fortitude to relinquish control. It is an examination of courage, the courage to have faith in the unknown. The majority of individuals will not successfully complete this examination, as surrender can appear to entail a loss. It can be perceived as a form of surrender, a form of capitulation. However, those who are chosen recognize that surrender is not the conclusion, it is the onset. It is the moment when one finally becomes attuned to the flow of life, when one ceases to struggle and instead allows life to guide them. Surrendering to life does not entail relinquishing one's power. On the contrary, it signifies aligning oneself with a power that far surpasses one's own. It entails accessing the infinite intelligence of the universe, the intelligence that is aware of one's precise needs. However, to access this power, one must first relinquish the illusion of control. The question is posed, can one surrender? Can one relinquish the need to control every facet of life? Can one trust that life knows what it's doing, even when one does not? This is the test that separates the chosen ones from the rest. It is the test that requires one to. It is imperative to relinquish the illusion of control and allow life to guide us to our desired destination. This process involves surrendering the need to micromanage every detail of our lives. By doing so, we can trust that life's direction is best, even when our individual perspective might differ. This is a crucial step in separating the individuals who are receptive to guidance from those who are not. It necessitates relinquishing the desire to be the driver of our lives and allowing life to navigate us towards our desired destination. A paradox emerges: by surrendering the need to control, we actually gain more control. However, this control differs from the traditional sense of exerting influence over outcomes or forcing events to unfold in a specific manner. Instead, it is a state of being where we allow life to unfold, trusting that it will lead us to our desired destination. Harmony with life, from being in alignment with the flow of the universe. When one is in that state of surrender, everything unfolds effortlessly, and one finds oneself exactly where one needs to be, exactly when one needs to be there. However, that kind of surrender requires trust. It requires faith. It requires one to step into the unknown, into the mystery of life, without needing achieving a state of harmony with life and alignment with the flow of the universe necessitates a profound level of surrender. In this state, all challenges appear to be surmountable, and one's presence in a given moment is perfectly aligned with one's purpose. However, attaining such a state of surrender demands an unwavering trust and faith, allowing one to venture into the enigmatic nature of life without the need for all the answers. Can one truly surrender to the unknown, placing their trust in a higher power that will guide and support them, even when the path ahead remains obscured? This is the ultimate test of surrender, one that only the chosen few can successfully navigate. Those who can genuinely let go, who can surrender to the flow of life, will successfully complete this test. Those who successfully complete this test will discover that life has prepared an abundance of experiences for them that they could not have anticipated. If one has reached this stage and has passed the test of surrender, one can consider oneself among the few who have endured the most arduous trials. However, there is one final test that remains, the test of awakening, the moment when one finally comprehends one's true purpose. Those who have persevered will discover that life has prepared them for an abundance of experiences that they could not have anticipated. If one has reached this stage, and if one has successfully completed the test of surrender, then one is among the few who have endured the most arduous trials. However, there is one final test that remains, and it is the most profound of all. It is the test of awakening, the moment when one finally understands one's purpose. This final test is not a test of endurance, but rather a test of realization. It is not about what one can do, but rather about what one can see. This is the moment when the veil is lifted, and one is able to see the world and oneself as they truly are. It is the moment when one awakens to one's purpose, when one understands. The ultimate truth that has been guiding you all along is revealed through the final test, which is not a test of endurance but of realization. This is the moment when the veil is lifted, and you are able to see the world and yourself as they truly are. It's the moment when you awaken to your purpose, when you understand why you have gone through all the tests, why you have endured the pain, the darkness, the uncertainty. The chosen ones are not chosen because they are special, they are chosen because they have chosen to awaken. They have chosen to see the truth, even when it is uncomfortable, even when it challenges everything they have believed. And the truth that they awaken to is this: the realization that one is inseparable from life itself, that one is not a victim of circumstances, but rather an expression of life unfolding through a unique form and journey, is the culminating truth that the final test aims to reveal. It is crucial to understand that all the struggles and tests encountered throughout life are designed to bring one closer to this realization. These challenges are intended to shed illusions, false identities, and egoic desires, allowing one to perceive the truth of the matter. The ultimate objective of these challenges and trials is to unveil the fundamental truth that lies beneath the surface. This truth asserts that each individual's presence in this world is not merely a coincidence, but rather, it is a deliberate and intentional act of life itself, seeking to manifest itself through the unique medium of the human experience. The purpose of life, therefore, is not an external endeavor to be sought in the physical world. Rather, it is an inherent aspect of existence, manifesting in every moment and in every aspect of daily life. The final test, therefore, is not merely an examination of knowledge or skills, but rather, it is an opportunity to awaken to this fundamental truth, to recognize that life itself is the ultimate teacher, shaping and molding us through the various experiences and challenges we encounter. The notion that one is not separate from the universe, but rather an integral part of it, is a fundamental tenet of this philosophy. The awakening to this truth is accompanied by a profound sense of liberation, as it releases the need to control and the pursuit of a fixed purpose. Instead, it fosters an understanding that life is inherently perfect and does not require external validation. This realization leads to a state of being, experiencing, and expressing life in its purest form. It is imperative to acknowledge that, contrary to popular belief, humans are not isolated entities, but rather, integral components of a larger, interconnected cosmos. The act of attaining this profound realization engenders a paradigm shift, wherein the compulsion to exercise control is rendered moot, as the understanding that life's unfolding is inherently perfect becomes predominant. The quest for a sense of purpose, once a dominant motif, is superseded by the realization that one's true purpose lies in the experience and expression of life in its myriad forms. However, it is crucial to recognize that this awakening marks merely the commencement of a new journey, not the culmination of one. Upon successfully navigating this ultimate test, individuals find themselves liberated from the confines of the mind, the ego, and the fears that often impede progress. They are no longer constrained by the limitations imposed by these internal barriers. Instead, they are empowered to live their lives with a sense of purpose, imbued with meaning and joy. They are at liberty to create, to love, and to explore the world around them without the burden of fear or doubt. This state of being, characterized by the absence of external constraints, is what is referred to as, the final test is the quintessence of the journey, marking the commencement of a new path for the chosen few. It is a rite of passage that liberates one from the confines of the mind, ego, and fears. Once this test is passed, one becomes unshackled, capable of living a purposeful life replete with joy and creativity, unencumbered by the burdens of fear and doubt. This is the prize for overcoming the most arduous trials that only the chosen few encounter. It is now that I pose the question, are you prepared to awaken? Are you ready to discern the truth of your being and your purpose? The path is not without its challenges, and the tests are not without their difficulties. However, if one can persevere through the darkness, the uncertainty, and the pain, they will discover the true essence of themselves. The ultimate reward for successfully navigating these arduous trials is the enlightenment that awaits. It is a journey that demands fortitude, as the obstacles and uncertainties that one encounters are formidable. Those who persevere through these tribulations and emerge victorious will be rewarded with a profound and transformative understanding of themselves. The path of the chosen is not for the faint of heart, it is a path of profound dedication and self-mastery. The question remains, are you among the chosen few who possess the necessary resilience and fortitude to complete this arduous journey?